All right, good morning, everyone. All right, let's get this started here. So I just want to open up with my objective, which is to influence Major League Baseball teams to celebrate the Hall of Fame inductees by either retiring their names and numbers, installing plaques or a statue, or flying the World Series championships. So a little bit about me. Uh, Played baseball growing up. That's my favorite picture. It's on my refrigerator still. Played baseball growing up. Kind of didn't make it in college, but I was an all-star in the city of Chicago. Believe it or not, I played with a Double Deuce Radcliffe grand nephew in the city of Chicago on that team. We were pretty good. Those are my awards in the corner over there, and those are just some pictures of me before I hit some home runs in high school. All right, so how did I get into baseball? Well, it all started when I read this book right here in the third grade, Baseball Top 10 Pitchers. And as I was reading it, I seen the picture of this man right here. I said, who is this? Never seen that uniform. So it really started me on this journey. Then from then, I was talking to my neighbor. We were playing this video game called MVP Baseball 2005, and we unlocked Satchel Paige. Like, who is Satchel Paige? Who is this guy? So we began to talk, and then I did some research, and I found out there was a Negro League Baseball League. And I was so starstruck, things just kept happening. So later on that year, a movie came out. It was called Are We There Yet? In the movie, there was a Guardian Angel bobblehead, and it was Satchel Paige again. So I said, okay, something's going on here. What's going on? All right, Satchel Paige has to be important. Later that year, my dad gives me this book for Christmas of Sport Immortals. In the book again, you can guess it, Satchel Paige. But not only Satchel, it was also Josh Gibson. So I thought to myself, this has to be something special. And from that moment on, everything just started to revolve my life around baseball, Negro League baseball, exactly. So for my birthday, my mom surprised me and took me to this restaurant in Chicago that's no longer there. It was called the Negro League Cafe. And again, as we're walking up, I see Satchel and Josh, and of course, Jackie's there, of course. And really from that moment on, everything just started to intertwine with baseball. So throughout my playing career, things just always kept arising. When I got to college, I met this gentleman right here, Mr. Walt Owens. I still have the cards. If you want to see him in person, I'll show you after the presentation. It's a big inspiration. One of the toughest times in my life, I didn't make it in baseball, but Walt talked me through of just how to be a student and that the job isn't done. We talked about the Negro Leagues. He also played in the Negro Leagues, as many of you may know, for the Indianapolis Clowns. He was also a part of the 2008 honorary draft where he was selected by the Cubs. So me and Walt had a relationship throughout my college career, and he passed away sadly in 2020. But NIU did something great that actually started me on this presentation that I'm presenting right now. Last April, they dedicated and renamed a baseball field after Mr. Walt Owens. So I thought that was an amazing thing. So it started me on this journey of, that would be nice to possibly influence maybe Major League Baseball to do this. Another inspiration I had was Dr. Brunson. Me and Dr. Brunson have known each other since 2011. He's also my fraternity brother. But these were some of the things that really inspired me about him. Going to class one day, I'm looking at NIU's page, trying to, see what's going on for the events, and I see this here. Dr. Brunson joined the Origins Committee. He also wrote that book, Early Images of Black Baseball, which I still have today. And it's a 3-part series. It's really great. If you don't have it, I think it needs to be a part of your collection. And me and Dr. Brunson, much like my relationship with Walt Owens, he taught me a lot. We talked about Black baseball in so many different capacities. And he's one of my inspirations to this day. So let's get to it, right? Major League Baseball celebrate Negro League players. What does that look like? Well, it's a long lineage, but I think it needs to be a little bit more uniform. So started in 1950, believe it or not, Smokey Joe Williams had his own day at the Polo Grounds. I've researched so much on this. I called the Giants, I called archives in New York to try to find some type of evidence that this actually happened. I do believe it happened, but I wanted to see some type of program, a ticket sale or something, and I couldn't find anything. But we know that Smokey Joe Williams was the first Negro leaguer to be honored at a major league stadium by a major league team. Then, of course, old Sats, right? 1965, he has his honorary game where he pitches 3 innings and does excellent. And at that game as well was many Negro leaguers that were in the Kansas City area. And that was a great celebratory day as well. From there, I couldn't find anything else up until the 90s, where the Boston Red Sox, the Oakland A's, and the Los Angeles Dodgers all honored the Negro Leagues different times throughout 1990, 1991, 1992. These are some of the players that they honored. We see Buck O'Neil here in the corner when he was in Oakland. And it was just a great opportunity, I believe, when Major League Baseball expresses their gratitude for the Negro Leagues and show that just because they wore different jerseys does not mean that they were Major League players. But I still think there needs to be a little bit more consistency. So from there, something else that was monumental, statues started to pop up. Cool Papa Bell, he was the first one to have a statue at a Major League Stadium. That happened in 2002, and it's still there, which is very important. But if you guys are not aware, in 1974, Cool Papa Bell was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Where's the celebration? It seems like it's been hushed, unless you don't know the history. It's not really a monumental thing, but I think it should be celebrated somewhere. So that's the question I have for all the Major League teams who could possibly celebrate them, from the Pittsburgh Pirates to the St. Louis Cardinals. Where's Cool Papa Bell's celebration? I believe he needs one. Legacy Square. This was an amazing initiative done by the Pirates. They celebrated a lot of the Negro League players that played in and around the Pittsburgh area. Oscar Charleston, Satchel Paige, Josh Gibson, Smokey Joe Williams, Ray Brown, Buck Leonard, and Cool Papa Bell, all for some time had their statues a part of this great Legacy Square. But sadly, in 2015, they were taken away. So again, what do we do in Major League Baseball? We have opportunities to educate and really integrate the history of baseball, but it seems like there's always some hurdles we need to jump over. Josh Gibson statue. This is a Josh Gibson statue outside of Nationals Park, and it's still there, which is, again, very important. He's the only Negro leaguer a part of their statues park area for their legacies. Moving on, something happened that was monumental. 2021, the Chicago White Sox decided to fly the Chicago American Giants flag, the first of its kind ever done at a Major League Stadium, which I give gratitude to the Chicago White Sox for starting that. And it is still up. Next year, the Detroit Tigers follow suit, and they fly the Detroit Stars flag. And last year at the Negro League weekend, I saw it. It's still there. There's been no changes. Something else happened that the Tigers embraced the Negro Leagues. Turkey Stearns had a plaque installed in 2007. This is his granddaughter, Vanessa, with her book. It's very important that Turkey Stearns' plaque was installed. It's first of its kind, and again, it brings baseball together for the youth and maybe some of the long life baseball fans that don't know much about the Negro Leagues. No one else could be a great ambassador to introduce you to the game than the great Turkey Stearns, who is now the 6th all-time batting average leader, as he always once was, but now it's official, right? So from there, the 50th anniversary of Satchel Paige induction, his plaque, that's not too far from where we are in the hall, was brought to Kansas City and celebrated for about 3 or 4 days. And I thought that was a great initiative. Again, Turkey Stearns' influence, I believe, brought this as something to celebrate the Negro League's Hall of Famers. The very next year, Josh Gibson plaque comes to Pittsburgh, again, kind of following suit. But again, these are not consistent plaques that are installed at the stadiums like Turkey Stearns. Minnie Minoso, very similar, same thing happens. That's me and my dad right there, big Sox fan. His plaque was also brought to Chicago. So though these are great things, they're not there anymore. So if you're not there for that weekend, maybe you don't pay attention to the games when these celebrations are happening, they kind of just go away. But there's opportunity, like, oh, the Yankees, great franchise, probably the greatest franchise in all of sports. This opportunity here, if you see at the end, there's a little bit of space. Why not put Smokey Joe Williams? Why not put Pop Lloyd? Their influence in New York was immense, especially when in 1930, having their ball clubs play for the first time, black ball clubs that is, at Yankee Stadium. So I think it's important to integrate on all sides. I've never seen the Yankees support Negro Leagues Day or wear jerseys. So I think it's an opportunity here to really integrate baseball's history together with the greatest players. The Detroit Tigers, again, as I mentioned, they hosted that great weekend. And these gentlemen of the Stars are there year round. And I thought that was amazing. They also give you a replica jersey of Turkey Stearns. These are the type of events that needs to be uniformed around Major League Baseball, which influence Negro League Day. The Negro League Family Alliance, I'm a bronze member. They want to start an initiative of Negro League Day. What does that look like? Every team will wear a Negro League jersey and uniform, commemorative patches, education and community awareness pertaining to Negro League history inside the park with events and events within the community. As you guys know, with the stats being changed, there's been an uproar of a lot of people not really educated on the Negro Leagues. That's brought up a lot of confliction in the baseball community. In addition, Negro League players and families within Major League cities will be recognized. And again, that's just a day. What I'm pushing for is total recognition from Major League Baseball for the Hall of Famers throughout that installment celebration until baseball is no more. So again, Major League Baseball currently has no names or jersey numbers retired at stadiums, not even Satchel Paige in Kansas City, no Josh in Pittsburgh, no Brew Foster in Chicago. Not even Turkey Stearns with all the great support he has. His name and number is not a part of the wall where all the great players are in Detroit. He has a plaque, he has his team flag, but he doesn't have his name in his jersey. So lastly, my proposal, and I sent this to John Thorne, thanks to Larry Lesser, we're to talk about what's the best way to celebrate Negro League Baseball. He and I were discussing about possibly the Chicago teams both flying one of the World Series flags. Though we didn't get the best communication with them or response, the Chicago White Sox told me, we have initiatives. We have the Double Duty Classic. We're flying the flag of Chicago American Giants. But what about the World Series flag? These are championships, right? We see the championships of all the teams pre-integration being flown, being celebrated. So I thought to myself, I could make it easy for you. So starting with the last World Series and going to the first few in the 20s, the Homestead Grays flag, that could be flown in Nationals Park. The New York Cubans, Citi Field. It's a huge, large Latino population. I think they'll love that. And also, Mr. Martinez, if you're out there, I know this is something you'll enjoy. The New York Eagles. Yeah, there's no team in New Jersey, but Citi Field is the closest thing. Why not put their flag up? The Cleveland Buckeyes in Cleveland at Progressive Field. Why not? The Homestead Grays, I mean, again, they won a few of these championships. Both 44 and 43, there's an opportunity, again, at Nationals Park. The 42 Monarchs can be flown at Kauffman Stadium. 1927, Chicago American Giants, maybe Wrigley, maybe guaranteed rate. Again, for the same thing for 1926. And lastly, the Hilldale Club. Maybe, hopefully, the Phillies can fly that flag at Citizens Bank. And lastly, not sure why it's missing, it's supposed to be the 1924 Monarchs to lead the way. Because if you understand what this year, it's a 100-year celebration of the Monarchs winning that championship. So I think it's so fitting that if this initiative is accepted by these major league clubs, I think it'll be a beautiful way to integrate baseball to all fans of all walks of life to celebrate the Negro Leagues. And of course, these are all the Hall of Famers, right? There's plenty of people to choose from to be celebrated, and they need to, because for too long, people have not known these people's names. And I think, and I know that baseball will be a better place if it's all integrated and celebrated correctly. So all of this work that I've done and all of my inspirations have come from these people here. So if you see your name up there, you've done a lot for me, whether it's just been a conversation, a Facebook message, something we talked about. All these people on the screen has inspired me to come here and present this information to you. And when the campaign drops, hopefully I can see your name signed for Major League Baseball to retire the names, install the plaques, and fly the flags. Thank you.
So, any questions for Paul?
I do. Did you hear back from John Thorne?
Yes, he said he read it. So that's a good start. I know he's busy. I actually sent the proposal 2021 to 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't been to Sox Park in a while because they're terrible. But last time I was there, Mr. Minoso had a statue in the outfield in there.
Mhm.
Is it still there? I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay.
So Min Minoso, yes, he has a statue. But again, Ruth Foster doesn't.
Yeah.
Billy Foster doesn't have his name retired. Cristobal Torriente doesn't have his number retired, or his name rather. He didn't have a. What was that?
There's space out there.
There's lots of space. There's lots of space. Torriente doesn't have a number, so they're gonna spell that out somewhere. But I think they could shrink the font a little bit, right?
You could include the Satchel Paige statue that's outside the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. Yes, the Hall of Fame has done their job, I believe, right? But we're talking about major league stadiums where the access, right? Thousands and thousands of fans to get this information. Because as many of you know, what was that?
Thousands come here too.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think a step further is needed because I feel like the baseball community is at odds right now.
Is Gary Gillette here? Good. He says no statement. Paul, you're an inspiration to us all.
Thank you.
Excellent presentation. Thank you very much for this. I appreciate the fact that your asks are very specific, right? Which it's a little harder for people to kind of twist and dodge and run away from asks that are this. Hey, would you fly a flag? Would you do these things? But I think kind of a larger discussion that I hope that SABR helps to propel is this sense that if you are the Detroit Tigers, you should necessarily view the Detroit Stars as part of your organizational history.
Absolutely.
I realize technically it was not, but you need to embrace that. If you're the Kansas City Royals, right? The Kansas City Monarchs should not simply be, hey, we'll put up a poster here, we'll do a flag, but like really embrace that in a larger way. And I know that's a more amorphous kind of dialogue to have. It's not as easy as being able to say, hey, here are 3 things you could do, but it kind of, it frustrates me, like you said, like the 100th anniversary and like, it doesn't seem to be on the radar screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, great presentation. Just wanted to add that maybe with the Homestead Grays, now I know by the 40s they were playing a lot more in Washington, but could certainly be approaching Pittsburgh as well.
Absolutely.
In terms of them flying the flag.
Yeah. I mean, for some reason, Legacy Park right there that they had all the statues, they took them away. So I'm not sure if they're interested, but absolutely. They can have both.
Things change.
Things change. Absolutely.
Paul, do you think that some teams may have seen the reaction to the Major League Baseball announcement, and they might be a little hesitant to make it look like they're trying to adopt the history of a club that they essentially left out of the AMNL? Do you think that do you have anything that you might say to them if that was the approach they were taking?
Well, I think it's opportunity for that wrong to be rewritten. Once, we were separate, but now we're all together. So what better way to show that in expressing, embracing this great history of these players and these championships.
Awesome presentation. Thanks.
Thank you.
Have you reached out to family members of some of these players? Because I know that Detroit took forever to get to this point, and it really started happening because Turkey Stern's daughters got really involved with a lot of stuff, and it took a really long and frustrating time. So how key can that be with some of the other teams?
Yeah, so I am a member of the Negro League Family Alliance. I'm a bronze member, so I donate. I know that they have initiatives. One of the initiatives I showed, the Negro League Day that they proposed that wasn't fulfilled this year. They wanted for May 2nd, all the teams to wear jerseys, have commemorative patches, have the bases with logos of the Negro Leagues. We talk about this periodically. Well, my greatest relationship with any Negro League family member is Sean Gibson, so we speak often.
I was going to suggest the Yankees. They have a museum like on the second floor, and they have like that empty space. Maybe they could expand the museum. There were so many Negro League games at Yankee Stadium, and I think the 95th anniversary will be July next year. That they could do a thing where the two teams, the Yankees and the team that, or the visiting team, could wear the uniforms from the Brotherhood fundraiser.
Right.
And then they could do that, and they could open up an extra wing to celebrate there are hundreds of Negro League games, like all the stars play at Yankee Stadium.
Absolutely.
I think the Yankees would love something like that.
Absolutely. And I know Baltimore has wore the Baltimore Black Sox a bunch of times. So the Lincoln Giants the Yankees will be the Lincoln Giants that day, right? Wouldn't that be awesome? Because I've never seen their uniform not be the Yankees. And I think because of how impactful that franchise has been to sports, especially the sport of baseball, with all the great history, that'll just send ripple effects.
Go Brian Cashman.
I think we have time for one more question. Any other questions? Back here.
So for many years, when there was not a World Series, you were naming World Series champions.
Right.
But in 1928, the fact that the St. Louis Stars didn't have the opportunity to kick some Eastern teams' fanny, well, that's not our fault. So we celebrate the 1928 Negro National League champions.
So in my proposal, I have the pennants as well. The reason I start with the World Series because I think that'll be accepted, as a way to kind of open things up. Of course, I would like everyone to be included. It's a bunch of great ball clubs, especially the Memphis Red Sox winning one year. So it's like, where can that flag go? Are we going to go south to maybe, I don't know, Miami or the Braves, right? It's opportunity everywhere. So I just wanted to pretty much give what I believe will be the most accepted by the baseball community. But in my proposal to John Thorne, I have all the championships of the pennants. So just to clarify.
So let's thank Paul for his presentation.